All right, let's talk about a habit that is way more interesting than it looks on the surface: being chronically early. Seriously, this isn't just about having good manners. It's a deep dive into the human need for control, how we manage anxiety, and even how we protect ourselves.
You know who I'm talking about, right? Maybe that person is you. You see them, just scrolling on their phone, totally calm, while pretty much everyone else is still fighting traffic to get there. It seems like they're just super polite, but what's really happening inside their head?
And that is the key idea we're going to unpack. If you're someone who feels a little knot of panic in your stomach when you're not early, well, that's not just a personality quirk. It's actually a pretty sophisticated psychological strategy that you're using to manage the world.
So let's peel back the first layer. What's going on here? Well, the surprising part is that for a lot of people who are always early, this habit has almost nothing to do with time itself. It's about autonomy.
Just think about it for a second. When you're running late, you're constantly reacting, right? You're at the mercy of everything: the clock, the traffic, someone else's schedule. But when you arrive early, you've taken charge. You are no longer being pushed around by all these external forces. This gets at a really cool concept called psychological reactance. You know that feeling when someone tells you that you have to do something, and your immediate gut reaction is to do the exact opposite? That's it. That's our brain's built-in defense system for protecting our sense of freedom. So you see, being early isn't really about following the rules of a schedule. It's about getting ahead of the schedule. That extra 15 minutes, that's your buffer zone. It's your way of saying, nope, you don't control me. It's a proactive power move to hold on to your sense of agency in a world that's always making demands. Okay, but it's not just about control. This habit is also tied to a mind that is just constantly analyzing, predicting, and preparing for what's next. It's like a mind that runs on simulations. You know, for someone who's always early, the journey begins way before they even grab their keys. Their brain is running a full-on what-if simulation. It's rapidly firing off questions about everything that could possibly go wrong. What if there's a surprise traffic jam? What if there's no parking? Did I forget something important? They're trying to prepare for every outcome. And this puts that buffer time in a whole new light, doesn't it? It's not wasted time, it's a mental off-ramp. Getting there early is the signal to your brain that says, okay, simulation complete. We've accounted for the variables, we made it, you can relax now. It's that crucial moment you give yourself to just breathe before the main event. Now, this isn't just about managing anxiety. Underneath all of that, you often find a very disciplined and strategic mind at work.
Yeah, people who are always early tend to have incredibly high standards for themselves. You know, they're the people you can always count on. And a huge reason for this is that they're really good at something called metacognition.
It sounds complicated, but it's not. Metacognition is, simply put, thinking about your thinking. It's the ability to kind of step outside of your own head and analyze your thought processes. So instead of just having a thought, you question it, you poke holes in it. And this is where we see a huge difference in thinking. Someone who's always late might operate on hope. Oh, I hope I make it. But a person who's always early, they think in probabilities. They challenge their own gut feelings, asking, okay, what are the actual chances I'm wrong about the traffic? They build in that buffer based on strategy, not just wishful thinking.
Okay, so we've touched on control, on cognition, on strategy, but there's one last layer, and it's the deepest one: the emotional blueprint. And this one often traces all the way back to our childhoods.
Because for some people, this habit isn't just about planning for what's ahead. It's really about protecting themselves from something in their past. It can be connected to what psychologists call rejection sensitivity. Think about it. If you grew up in a home where you felt like you had to be perfect to get positive attention, or that being any kind of inconvenience might lead to disapproval, well, punctuality becomes more than a habit. It turns into a shield. Being early is a way to guarantee you're never the problem, never the one causing a fuss. But here's the thing. We can actually reframe this as a really powerful strength. It's a sign of incredible resilience. It shows that a person has learned to rely on themselves, using their own structure and discipline to build a sense of safety in a world that often feels pretty unpredictable. So after looking at all these different layers, we can start to push back on that common assumption. You know, while anxiety might be a piece of the puzzle, just slapping the label anxious on someone who's always early really misses the bigger picture. Here's the bottom line. Being early is a strategy. It's a strategy to feel in control, to quiet down a busy mind, to live up to high personal standards, and to feel emotionally safe. It's all about creating the space you need to show up, not just on time, but as your best, most present self.
And that really leaves us with one final question to think about. Understanding the why behind these habits, that's the first step. The next is to stop seeing them as weird quirks and start seeing them as the unique architecture of your mind. So once you understand your own wiring, how can you use it? What strength is your mind quietly trying to protect?